What is going on, everybody? Ryan from Sports Card Radio. That's right, finally, we are back for another episode of the R-Rated podcast, hosted, found exclusively on sportscardradio.com. Topics for today. Sorry, no intro music. We are recording this at another location other than my living quarters. And so we're on a shoestring budget with the MacBook and microphone in hand, but we have several topics to discuss. Topps Transcendent Party has been announced, something I went to last year and will be planning to go to again this year. We'll discuss the details and what I think and what my plans are for Atlanta 2018. If you can't tell by the sound of my voice, a little disappointed in the venue choice. Last episode, about a month ago, we talked about people getting fired from Beckett Media. Well, Sports Card Radio says you're hired. Recently bringing on some talent to sportscardradio.com. We'll discuss that and some of the future of the website. Some questions concerning the great Lonzo Ball autographs has surfaced on Twitter and social media. There's some concern that Lonzo may not have signed his Panini stickers. And with the well-chronicled mistakes of Panini America, you could see how people will instantly have an eagle eye at virtually everything that is coming out of those products and that company. I'll share my opinion and what I think about the potential there, especially considering I would be in the market for a Lonzo Ball autograph at some point once the market cools down and some more supply hits the market. There's only a couple sets right now out that have his autograph, and his autograph is pretty pricey. Rest in peace, Mr. Roy Halladay. Very tragic to anybody who's a fan of his or watched him over the years or was a fan of his teams that he was on. And he was never with the Giants, so I never had a close personal fanship with him. But sadly passed away recently. And won't dwell on that or talk about that too much. But we will talk about some motherfuckers who promoted that they had Roy Halladay shit for sale. And really, this isn't really a whole discussion I really want to go into. But you motherfuckers who tweet me and my brother and email us and fucking damn near harass us telling we're bad for the fucking hobby. Fuck you motherfuckers. Did you tweet the guys that the hour after Roy Halladay dies that they say they've got autographed jerseys for $300 and they got cards for sale? Did you tweet those motherfuckers? Did you email those motherfuckers and say they're bad for the hobby? How would you feel if that was your father who died in a plane crash? And hours later, people are looking to exploit and co-op his death for profit. Some of you dealers, most of you dealers, are fucking dirty as fuck. I have no problem saying that. You're not my target audience. You're not my target audience for the website. You're not how I get paid. So I don't give a fuck. Lastly, second to last, we will mention PSA, Collectors Universe, had their quarterly conference call. Joe Orlando, new CEO of the company, former CEO of just the PSA grading division. Well, they spit out some numbers and had their best quarter ever. Stock price is really kind of flat or down maybe very slightly since the news. You'd think a company that had their all-time best record quarter ever would, the stock price would just shoot through the roof. So we'll talk about what's going on there, what's keeping the interest in the stock and the price down. And lastly, again, the coin phrase of all coin phrase, nobody's going to pat you on your back but yourself. We'll play a little sound from the R-Rated number 18 podcast on August 15th, where we discuss a guy's cards who have blown up dang near equivalent to Aaron Judge status. I had some Aaron Judge cards. This guy's base cards and base rookies have blown up to the same multiple, it feels like. So autographs probably haven't, but the base rookies that are harder to get and probably harder to access than the Topps baseball stuff is blowing up. So hopefully if you listen closely to this podcast and you went out and bought this guy's cards, you've probably tripled up. So you're welcome. Topps Transcendent Party. That's where we're going to start the show. And if you remember last year, I went to this thing. It was in Henderson, Nevada, which is about 30 minutes outside of Las Vegas, in this ghost town, basically, hotel. And Kris Bryant showed up, met Kris Bryant, got his autograph, and there was a huge goodie bag that came inside. And I straight came up this party. I paid $2,500 for the pass. I live very close to Vegas, and I'm a gold member at the MGM property, so it's pretty cheap for me to get in and out of Vegas and whatnot. And I probably spent $800 at the strip club that night. But besides the strip club diversion, the relatively cheap trip, minus the $2,500 pass to get out there to Vegas in this thing. And I straight came up. I mean, there was a 65 card Kris Bryant set inside the goodie bag, and I sold that for more than I paid for the whole spot. I still have 2 Mike Trout on-card autographs numbered to 15 from that party. And I sold a whole bunch of other stuff. It's documented onto Sports Card Radio. I'm sure if you searched Google Transcendent Party or 65th Anniversary Party Sports Card Radio, I'm sure you could find it. And I document actually kind of what I spent and what I, at least up until that point, had sold. So you can bet that I was looking forward to, really quietly, looking forward to this party being announced and kind of coming up. I certainly was going to go myself, and even the host of the Sports Card Show podcast, Colin, was planning to go. And I was even planning on trying to get 2 of my friends to roll out and go and buy them a spot. Because I feel like the more wristbands you have, the better opportunity you have at the raffles. And they do raffles and giveaways, and I didn't hit the best stuff. I mean, some guys straight came up at this party. This year they've made the announcement, and some of these details I had already known, but again, I was keeping secret with the hopes of selfishly scooping up multiple passes myself. But I think Topps will have sufficiently quelled some of the demand to this, because the VIP experience is actually going to be in Atlanta, Georgia, with Hank Aaron. There had been rumors that it was going to be somebody like Aaron Judge. I never bought the idea that it was going to be Mike Trout or I heard Derek Jeter today, and people were saying Ken Griffey Jr. These guys have made $100 million contracts and have boatloads of money. Kris Bryant doesn't have a lot, believe it or not, doesn't have a lot of money. What's he getting paid by the Cubs right now? $700,000? Until he reaches, arbitration in his free agency, when he's going to get paid, knock on wood, he stays healthy and keeps playing well, that's when he's going to be rich. That's when Mike Trout got rich. That's when Ken Griffey got rich. That's when, these guys who you want to show up got rich. Jeter. Jeter's the owner of a baseball team. He's not showing up to this thing. There's no way in hell. You have to get a guy who's kind of coming up. That's why Judge makes sense, because Judge, again, another guy who's not rich. People think he's rich, but he's not. Did he make $500,000 this year? So he has to do all the sponsorship opportunities and sign all the cards and do all the kind of stuff, so he can pick up, extra money, and hope that he continues to play well, and that the Yankees or some other team pays them a lot of money in the future to play baseball. So Hank Aaron it makes sense that a Hall of Famer would do it, because Hank Aaron never got a $100 million contract. Hank Aaron's rich, but he's probably not Mike Trout rich. It may not be. So this is going to be in Atlanta in January. So when my brother found out about that and my friends found out about that, they were like, well, why don't we just go to Vegas before or after, and then we'll see you there. You can dip out to Atlanta for this thing. So sadly, it looks like I might be going by myself. They've also increased. Last year it was 65 passes. This year it's going to be 87 total boxes, it appears, in this product. That last year I think it was about $20,000 or $25,000. It's primarily a group break product because inside you get a complete set of base cards, you get another complete set of sketch cards, you get 50 Transcendent autographs, you get a one-of-one Aaron Judge history autograph card, you get a one-of-one MVP cut signature or MVP autograph or MVP dual autograph. You get a one-of-one sketch card or a MLB baseball sketch and a one-of-one oversized cut signature card, and then each box has one of these VIP party passes. And these things seep on eBay. Last year, one of the primary breakers of this was Blowout, and what he would do was actually take the spot out of he would pay, I think, like $3,000 or subsidize the break for $3,000 to take the spot himself. Most people didn't mind this because they weren't going to go to this thing either way. Oddly, last year there wasn't a lot of group breakers there or a lot of kind of well-known dealers there that would show up to like the Panini party and stuff. Probably because these guys maybe aren't liquid several grand. Like if they aren't getting fronted, they all kind of loan out this money to go out to the Panini party. They don't pay $10,000 to go to the party. They get $10,000 of merchandise from their distributor on a 60-day credit, sell it, and then use that money to go to the party. These guys aren't liquid money, maybe. So we'll see. We'll see who shows up this year. Maybe last year nobody really knew what it was going to be. I was pretty dead set when I heard about it. I was like, I'm going to go to this thing. And so this year I'm definitely going to go again. Looks like there's going to be more passes. There's going to be more group breakers who are going to be opening this stuff, so it'll kind of spread out the spots. It won't be blowout. Blowout will have to be a little more proactive if he probably wants to get 25 spots of this thing. But Blowout's going to be able to set the price, because if he makes it known, hey, I'm paying $3,000 each for these things, he might be able to scoop up quite a bit and kind of hold the price. Even if there are people who don't want to sell to Blowout or don't know that he's buying these things, it might kind of hold the price up, because I guess you could buy one from somebody for $2,000 and then flip it to Tom Fish for $3,000 and make $1,000. Sounds like a good business move. But, barring any personal emergencies or anything like that, I'll be going to this. So I had heard rumors at the National that there were going to be more passes, 87 or 100. So that's been confirmed. And then I also heard that it might even be at a Hall of Famer's house. So I don't know if this is going to be at a hotel, or maybe we're going to be going out to Hank Aaron's house, who does apparently live in Atlanta. And certainly one of the reasons why this thing was there, or the main reason why this thing is there, and he's going to be there. So interesting decision by Topps. It could temper some of the demand, because I remember last year there's a lot of Cubs fans there. You get an opportunity to meet, Golden Child, Chris Bryant, coming off the World Series win. Certainly there's a lot of people who would like to meet Hank Aaron, but are you going to pay $1,500 to $3,000 for a pass, pay your own way out there? You do get a comped hotel, but everything else is on you. And we'll see what the goodie bag is like and how things are going there. So keep an eye out for more information, and certainly in the weeks to come, this product comes out, I believe, like December 12th. So the passes will start to come live on the kind of eBay and secondary markets there. And I'll definitely be purchasing one at some point for kind of whatever the going rate, or hopefully get a good deal on mine. Moving right along, Sports Card Radio. We have hired somebody. And won't go into too big a detail who it is and how we did it. We're still kind of training this person. And but there should be a lot more content, at least on the website. This person's not going to be doing podcasts or anything like that, but it should be a lot more content on the website as this person gets trained up. It's going to be 7 days a week, 8 hours a day. So there's a ton of work think about how much work you could do. So there'll be previews and probably checklists for every new product, but then we're also going to be dipping into the back catalog, since a lot of people have those cards. Believe it or not, more people more people have cards from the 80s and 90s than they have anything in the last 25 years. So it would be smart to cover and put up a lot of information about cards people actually have, which are from the 80s and 90s. Yeah, those cards are worthless, but a lot of people don't know that, or they want to see if maybe here we are 25 later, if those are worth something. Maybe some of them are, some scant few cards are rookie cards and high grade stuff. But it's good to put up that information, and that's what people are searching for. They're either searching for the brand new stuff, or they're oftentimes searching stuff about the 80s and 90s. Kind of more passive or casual collectors, or even non-collectors. That's my target audience and who I'm trying to reach. And maybe even potentially drag some of those people back into the hobby, which we have seen over the years. Another idea I know my brother and I have floated is hiring somebody, preferably even like a female, to kind of run the social media for the site and kind of be a face of the franchise almost for Sports Card Radio. My brother and I are never going to kiss anybody's ass or, run a fucking contest for the most part. But I certainly would hire somebody who would be an ass licker, who would run contests, who would sit on social all day, who would promote the content that is getting done by this other person. Maybe do, live chats and videos and all kinds of stuff. And I think it'd be cool if it was a female who had some knowledge. Got to train her up a little bit. But somebody who would develop some knowledge in the sports card world and could kind of be a face of the franchise and kind of can be more of a softer side of Sports Card Radio. But that's just a thought. Certainly, we got the person already working on some of the sites. So head on over to Sports Card Radio. Tell us what you think. Tell us some of the things maybe you want to see. But it's going to focus probably on some of the newer stuff, and then also dipping back into the vast history of 80s and 90s and even like early 2000s stuff when cards were at least a little more widely popular or more collected, obviously. Moving on to the great Lonzo Ball, who, by the way, was the youngest player in NBA history to have a triple-double the other night. I love it how guys, just as a fucking tangent here, I love it how motherfucking NBA fucking quote experts or tweeters are like, wow, his shot's broken, he can't shoot. Do you guys watch the fucking Lakers? Their whole starting lineup, minus Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, their best skill is offense. Their two best players that come off the bench, Jordan Clarkson and Julius Randle, what are their best attributes? Scoring. Do you think we need another motherfucking point guard to jack up shots? Do you guys have you ever guys, not let alone played a game of basketball in your life, have you ever tried to coach a game of basketball in your life? I had to coach 8th grade basketball, and these kids were good, but they all wanted to shoot. I would have died. I would have paid the motherfucking kid. I would have paid the motherfucking kid. And I did actually buy a kid a pair of shoes because he was our best player and he had some shitty shoes. I would have paid a motherfucking kid like Lonzo Ball to come on our team and pass the ball and never shoot. Those guys are assets. Guys who best skill is offense are a dime a dozen. Hence, Ingram's best skill is offense. Brook Lopez best skill offense. Kuzma best skill offense. Randall best skill offense. Clarkson best skill offense. Pope, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, best skilled defense. Actually, he's a very skilled defensive player. But he's also, he might take 15 shots. Anyways, you motherfuckers aren't going to watch the games anyways. You got your head stuck up Aaron Judge's ass or somebody else's fucking stupid baseball player's ass half the time. Anyways, here's something that might interest you about Lonzo Ball. He hasn't signed that many autographs for Panini yet. Some are on-card, some are sticker. If you look closely at his on-card signature and his sticker signature, it's vastly different. And now there are people even suggesting that the stickers were signed by none other than LeVar Ball, the father. What a bombshell that would be. Now, I have looked at a lot of Lonzo's signatures the last few days. He did a signing with Panini that's documented with pictures and videos, where his signature actually does kind of look like the ones on the signature. So I don't know. And you could probably jump on Twitter and search, Lonzo Ball autograph and probably find this discussion because it's gained some kind of traction and notoriety, at least in the social circle over there. I don't really know. And trust me, I would love to write the story about the Lonzo Ball Panini autograph scandal. I would run to my computer. I would stop everything I'm doing to write that story and put that out there and get that picked up by ESPN and God knows where else. Could be a worldwide fucking story. Trust me, I would run to the fucking computer to write that. Because nobody else in this hobby will. But I'm not sure, and it takes some more investigation, and probably some more of his autographs are going to have to hit the market. But I would encourage you to kind of go look for yourself and see for yourself the differences and also the similarities. The burden of proof here is on Panini. They stay silent on these things, probably because they think, oh, this is going to drive people away, or oh, we don't really have definitive proof if the guy signed him or not. You can listen to every PSA quarterly conference call company will be talking about in a short sec. Education, knowledge drives business, drives collectors, makes collectors spend more money. Meet these type of issues head on. Show examples. Again, I would love to jump to the conclusion that LeVar or somebody else signed these Lonzo stickers so I could go write the scandal story about Lonzo fake autographs. I would love that. I would die to do that. Salivate at that opportunity to do that. But I can't because I've looked myself, and again, I'm kind of on the fence. I would actually be probably more apt to say that Lonzo did sign the stickers. But there are a lot of people out there who say, no, these definitely are two different people's signatures. So the question's up in the air. The burden of proof is on Panini, whose cards these are, and who's, quote, guaranteeing them. Because otherwise, if they don't prove that they're real, you have greaseballs like Brian Gray and Steve Grad who are in their fucking back pocket practically. And whose interests are more aligned with Panini's than it is yours. Beckett wants to be able to authenticate Lonzo Ball autographs. They will probably want to work with Panini maybe to do that. So it's a developing story. It's very interesting. I wish I could write the scandal story now, but I can't. Because there needs to be some more investigation. And the burden of proof, again, is on Panini. It's not on collectors. It's not on third-party authenticators. And it's a discussion people should have. I saw some people saying, oh, well, we shouldn't even talk about this, or you could talk about this about every autograph. Let's do it then. Let's do that. Instead of sitting around circle jerking each other off 24/7. Let's talk about that. Let's analyze autographs. I'd much rather do that. Instead, you have dealers that an hour after Roy Halladay dies are putting his autograph, promoting on Twitter or social media or Instagram or snapping that they have his autographed jersey for sale. Or they got cards for sale. That's the scumbags we deal with. And that are filled with this hobby. People don't want to have a rational discussion. People don't want to gain more knowledge. People don't want to, help bring more people into this hobby. Just want to sweep everything under the rug. Oh, nothing to see here. Oh, boy, next sticker batch with Lonzo. Let's be a little more careful. Let's make sure he signs them. But let's not respond to this. Let's not talk to people. Let's not show the proof that we have that they really were signed by him. Panini and really kind of the hobby at large likes to just sweep this stuff kind of under the rug and promote that they have Roy Halladay stuff for sale, who died hours before. It's fucking sickening. Moving on before we get too upset, PSA, Collectors Universe, had their quarterly conference call. They hit all-time service records in coins. They hit all-time service records, albeit growth had slowed a little bit in the cards and the autographs. Coins shot up quite a bit. You remember I talked about, I believe on the last podcast, how it's about 60-40 coins to cards. You know, the business is about 60 to 65% coins and about 35 to 40% cards. Well, for the quarter that they just had a recent conference call, I believe it was on November 5th, the business actually got to be about 70%, or I think it might have even been over 70% coins. So like 29 to 30% cards, which is interesting. The stock didn't shoot through the roof as maybe you would expect. You know, a company comes on and says, hey, we just had our best quarter ever in the history of the company. We had our best quarter ever, and the stock basically, you know, doesn't move a breath. There were no questions and answers, which is pretty rare, at the end of this conference call. So, you know, you kind of might want to think, well, what happened? Well, twice during the call, Joe Orlando and I think even the accountant that they had talking as well, really wanted to make clear that the quarter coming up, the quarter we're in now, is one of their slowest of the year, and especially for cards and coins, and it could be really bad. So you're actually going to see, a drop-off. Next call will look really bad, probably compared to this quarter, and then maybe even the previous quarter of last year, which they usually kind of comp to. So that's something to look out for, that they kind of previewed that it wasn't going to be a very good quarter coming up. It's a slow time. They're moving into a new building down in Los Angeles, there where their headquarters are, Los Angeles area. And that's obviously taking some of the bandwidth out of the room. You know, just think about it, if you're moving. I mean, that's just such a tough task, let alone, you know, trying to keep the business running. And pretty well documented how Beckett and PSA have been behind on these grading. You know, you send something in and these service times sometimes aren't being hit. You know, you're getting cards back, you know, days or even sometimes weeks later than you normally would or was expected. You know, that's because they're bogged down. And again, PSA is hitting record numbers. I'm sure Beckett is too. I'd be shocked if they weren't. If they weren't also seeing kind of record numbers in their business. But something to keep an eye out for. Another thing with that company is the cash that they've blown. Not only in paying this dividend, but paying, you know, employees kind of a lot of money. And, again, these new headquarters. They spend a lot of money on the website and different apps that they probably blow way too much on. And, you know, just knowing how much I spend on my websites, these guys probably blow way too much money on their stuff. But they've gone from $40 million in cash down to under 10. They're like about 9.2, and they even have, you know, debt now for the first time. They drew about $1 million last quarter on their $10 million line of credit. So for one of the first times ever, this company has debt. It's gone from $40 million down to $10 million. Some fucking idiot on Facebook was like, well, cash doesn't really mean as much anymore. It's really your what did he say? Your tangible assets that mean something. And I was thinking to myself, what the fuck are the tangible assets at fucking PSA? It's a service business. They don't own any of these coins or own any of these fucking cards. They're probably leasing the fucking building they're in. Cash means everything to this business. It's a fucking service business. Fucking morons. I think he was talking about himself. I don't care about your bank account. I would have fucking asked if I gave a shit about your bank account. Some of you guys are dumb as shit. And he's like, oh, I bought some of the stock and it's done well. Well, that's because they pay out a quarterly dividend more than they often make. fucking stupid ass? You ever think that if they cut the dividend in half, what would happen to the stock price? Fucking moron. Anyways, we get some of the dumbest fucking comments from email, social media. You guys are dumb as shit, some of you. Hopefully some of you aren't dumb as shit and you listen to the August 15th episode of the R-Rated Podcast number 18, where we discuss a certain basketball player who's blowing up. Why don't we just roll that clip? The other basketball player I've been buying a little bit of is Kristaps Porzingis of the Knicks. Here's a guy who came into the league, was a darling, got booed at the draft, but then pretty quickly guys were like, wow, this is a 7-footer who's athletic, who can shoot and move and rebound and defend a little bit, and just a very interesting player, more athletic probably than people would give him credit for. Could play a long time in the league. And the clip continues with kind of further explanation about why I'm buying Kristaps Porzingis, or why I was buying a lot of his rookie cards. And, I ended up picking up about 50 of them on Check On My Cards, and I also picked up an autograph at the National Sports Collectors Convention. I wish I'd bought 5,000 of them, because that's about how cheap they were. I was buying cards for about 38 cents that now are selling for about $6. And we're talking about a 2-month time span. These things have gone from 30 cents, 75 cents, up to $6, $7, $10 that I've sold. I've only sold about 9 of the 50 cards, and I've made over $100. And these are all cards I bought in the last 2 months, or really when this podcast came out, August 15th, was when I was starting to buy them. It's really not, basketball to me is really not that difficult. You pick out guys who could potentially win an MVP of the league. Antetokounmpo is an example. Porzingis, I gave you that fucking example. Brandon Ingram is, again, another guy I've mentioned on this podcast and have been buying, and has taken a definite step forward in his game. He's certainly not on the level of Antetokounmpo or Porzingis, and maybe never will, because I don't know if he has that just... I don't know, there's just something special maybe about those two players. But Ingram could be very, very good and could lead a Lakers team in scoring that could make a deep playoff run or further in several years. I mean, the kid's 20 years old. Giannis Antetokounmpo and Porzingis are probably several years older. And again, you can make leaps talent-wise in the NBA much greater than you can in baseball. And probably even football. Football, your career can end at any moment. In basketball, you can see guys get better year after year after year. And again, I get that most of you guys don't watch that closely. I mean, clearly you don't. You're nitpicking every aspect of the, a 20-year-old's game, and he's getting fucking triple doubles. Every single player on his fucking team is an offensive player, and you're fucking mad that he can't shoot. It's a fucking astounding. Or the same people that'll criticize Lonzo Ball will jerk off Ben Simmons, and Ben Simmons really can't fucking shoot. You want to watch a guy who can't shoot? Watch Ben Simmons. Holy shit. Doesn't mean he's not good. Doesn't mean he can't play. Again, I get that most of you guys don't watch the games, but hey, looks like I do, and it looks like I correctly called out Porzingis. Again, I'm up over $100. That's with fees on Check On My Cards in 2 months on just on about 8 or 9 Porzingis cards, and I got about 40 or 50 left. So I'm going to end up a few $100 richer on Porzingis. But that's about all I got on this R-Rated podcast. Keep an eye out on that Lonzo Ball autograph situation. If that thing blows up or anything further happens there, again, I would salivate to write the Lonzo Ball Panini autograph scandal. I mean, I'm even trying to come up with the post title in my head. I hope there's some kind of news to break about that, but I doubt we'll hear anything from Panini. I'll doubt anybody with access to anyone at Panini will ask them anything. So I'll leave you with that, and we'll see you sometime in the probably near future.